All right, we are doing our beginner strength training series, and today we're going to talk about the different kinds of exercise. And one of the questions I get often is, Heather, what's a good program? How do I know a good program for a beginner? What should I be looking for? So we're going to talk about that today. So there are things called compound movements. These are movements that work a whole lot of different muscle groups at the same time. You're going to metabolically get the most benefit from these. And there's 4 primary ones, okay? And I'm gonna demonstrate those right now. So, you can load a movement with whatever weight you want. It can be dumbbells, a barbell, a kettlebell, bands. You can load it however you want. But the first one I wanna talk to you about today is the hinge. Your compound movement of a hinge is when you're bending over, whether the bar touches the ground or the weights touch the ground, you're coming back up. This deadlift pattern is a compound movement. You're working all the back muscles, you're working the legs, you're working through the back of the torso, the lats, everything. This is a compound movement. So when you're looking for a strength training program, there should be some kind of a deadlift pattern in there. It can be loaded with any type of weight, but you want to be seeing this movement where you're bending and hinging and coming down. Notice my back stays flat when I do it. This hinge movement is a key component to a good strength training routine. So that's number 1. It's the deadlift pattern, and you want to be looking for that when you're picking out a strength training routine. The second compound movement we're going to talk about, and I know you all know this one, is the squat. Okay, so I'm going to hold these just so you can see. A squat could be a body weight squat, meaning you're sitting back in a chair. Notice this is very much different from the hinge, right? I'm sitting back in the chair. I could be doing a goblet squat with a kettlebell. I could be doing body weight only and sitting in a chair or putting my back against the wall and doing a wall sit. I could be doing a barbell back squat. The barbell goes across my back, and in that matter, I would be holding the barbell and I would be sitting back, right? I can do a front-loaded barbell squat, where I'm actually holding the barbell against my chest and I'm supporting it, and I'm sitting back, right? So you can load it however you want, but you're looking for that sitting motion when you're looking for a good strength training. So far we talked about deadlift, we talked about squat. 2. Those are your 2 key movements, and they don't necessarily have to happen on the same day in your program, but you want them to happen within the week. So now we're gonna go to the other 2. The next 2 are your push and pull. So your push can be an overhead military press, okay? It could be using a cable system and pushing away from yourself, okay? It can be doing push-ups off the ground or off an elevated surface. It could be laying on a bench and doing a traditional bench press with a barbell. The pushing motion is a compound movement. You're pushing away. You must have the complement of push and pull for it to be a good strength training program. So if we're pushing away, we also have to have a pulling exercise. So you might see something like this, where you're bent over and you're doing a row, right? You could be rowing. You could be using a cable system, and you could be pulling toward, or bands and pulling toward. You could be using a bar and doing chin-ups. All of those are pulling movements, okay? So you're pulling weight toward you. Whatever you do to push, you also have to do to pull in order to complement the exercise. Now those, believe it or not, if you just do those 4 movements and progressively add weight, you're gonna start to see body composition change. You're gonna start to feel better, you're gonna be stronger. Now, what a lot of people get tripped up with, now those are the compound movements, those big 4 ones, okay? What a lot of people do is they go to get these magazines that say, have great arms by the summer. And they're doing a lot of this, right? They're doing a lot of the biceps, maybe they're doing the tricep kickbacks. Now, these are great exercises, but what I call those is isolation movements. Those movements are only working maybe 1 or 2 muscles, that's it. They're not a full body exercise. They're great if you've been training a long time, you've already kind of gotten yourself in a good place with your compound movements, and you can add them on. Calf raises come to mind. These things that are working just one small muscle or muscle group. Those are isolation exercises. We don't necessarily need to go that direction when we're a beginner and starting fresh. If you just focus on those 4 compound movement patterns, That's where it's at. So I'm hoping that this helps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to layer on and maybe go more into depth into those compound movements with you and talk a little bit about what to look for as far as your technique and things maybe not to do, because I do see a lot of times people not doing these correctly. So maybe give you some pointers on that moving forward. But this is what you're looking for when you say, hey Heather, what program? Flip through it. Do they have the deadlift? Do they have the squat? Do they have a push and do they have a pull? If they don't have those things and they've got a lot of these little isolation exercises, I wouldn't start with that. I would put that off till later, because I have those workouts too. I've got both on my shelf right now. I've got stuff that I would recommend to somebody that's beginning, that's got a more thorough compound basis. And then I've got the ones that got the compound movements, but they also have a lot of isolation work. That's for somebody who's been doing it a while, more your intermediate to advanced. I hope that helps. I'll talk to you soon.